Because it's not just a physical disease. It affects every
Oh,
aspect, every
yeah,
facet of one's life.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And that's true of any disease, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Sure.
But we, in general, as a community, we say, I know you're having a tough time, and how can we help you with the psychological part of it, and how can we help you with the emotional toll it's taking on you, and can we take your kids for a few hours so you can just be free to do something else? It tends to be a much smaller part of the community that offers that to our clients because they don't know. In many cases, they work with people who are positive and they just don't know it. And so they think that it's a disease of the other when actually it's a disease of maybe their family, certainly their colleagues, their neighbor, their friend, but those people don't feel comfortable talking about it. So it's a strange disease in that sense, and I think that continues to change, and I think when some of us old fogies just get out of the way, I think the younger generation in general, who has never known a time without AIDS, I think that the change will happen probably more quickly. Um, that's my confidence about the future. But it is the future. The current time now still has its problems.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is there one demographic that sticks out? Is it across all boards?
yeah, certainly there is an increasing, and I'm not the expert on statistics and where our audience, where our population is, but certainly we're seeing an unsettling increase among young people. Um, and of course, young people think they're indestructible no matter what. And I think too many of them don't know enough about the treatments for HIV. They think, well, pop a few pills and I'll be okay. And it's not true. It's a lifelong uh, experience of having to take drugs that have powerful side effects. So, I think there's a certain amount of education needed there. Well, there's a lot of education needed there, but young people are being affected in a way that shouldn't be happening after 30 years of this disease. Um, Women are increasingly being infected with HIV, and certainly some minority populations are being affected in a way that's not um, matching up with their percentage in the population. So we see some concern out there for that, and even gay men who have sex with men, still more there than we should be seeing after 30 years. But as much as you try, health issues can roll in one ear and out the other for people. We listen to it, we say, "Oh yeah, I know I should do something different," and then we don't. And the only thing with HIV though is it's not cumulative. It's a one time. It can be a one time thing. You make a bad judgment call one time and you can have the disease. So it requires, I think, a different kind of vigilance and a different kind of thinking. Um, One of the examples I use is like smoking. I mean, we have all heard the stories about smoking, and yet many of us say, "Oh, well, it won't be me." And I think maybe it's the same thing with HIV for many people, but it's not. You do this for 20 years and you might develop HIV. It's either you don't have it or you are infected, and it can be once. So I think that the whole thought process about the disease has to continue to change, and it's going to be best in young people, but older people have to pay attention to that too. As people get divorced, and they're in their 60s and they think, well, this is something that only affects young people, and they're suddenly back out on the dating scene, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this could be my issue too. So So I think that was why we wanted to do this anniversary thing so much, was to say, just remember that this is still here. Just remember that the challenges are still here. And I think we've at least widened the circle of people who remember that.
But is there one event that you had over the year or so that sticks out in your mind, maybe a favorite?
Now, I could not say on camera my favorite, because all of these people who did these arts events are all my friends. I worked 17 years in the arts. They all were fantastic. And indeed, I have a couple of favorites, but I will never reveal them publicly.
Sounds like a lot of good partnerships, though.
Excellent partnerships. And what impressed me so very much was when we hatched this idea a couple of years ago, it seems, and we approached the various arts organizations. We didn't really know what we were asking for, other than some kind of recognition that AIDS was still an issue, and that the task force had been working for 25 years. And we just wrote some letters and then followed up with some phone calls to all these wonderful directors of arts organizations and said, would you be willing to add something, we don't know what, but just something to your season? And every one of them said, absolutely, absolutely. We don't know what it is. We will figure that out. We'll talk to you. We're going to read some plays. We're going to talk about some music. Let us work and see what kind of dance things are out there. All of these ideas that came out, and they bounced them off us, or they dreamed them up themselves, or in some cases they wanted to do one thing, but that wasn't possible, so they came up with two other ideas. But it was just amazing how enthusiastic they were, and amazing how creative they were in terms of finding things, in some cases, works that I'd never seen, never heard of before. And so it was really, I think, a great gift to the community to be able to get all these new things into the arts stream that flows through Fort Wayne.